I think there's really three things. I think there's the retirement of 3G networks, there's the transition to 5G, and the rise of multi-roaming. And I think it's interesting, right, because a lot of customers want to move to 5G, but they need to retire their 3G network. So we have a solution called Evolve Mobility, which allows them to do that, make that transition to 5G, but also still allow that communication with their existing networks. And our Evolve Mobility solutions, we've had over 9 instances where customers in every region, Americas, Europe, and APAC, are doing this to move forward. So it helps them retire their 3G networks, but use that transition to 5G, and also allows them to basically continue to have the voice over LTE or VoLTE roaming with their existing networks.
I would say 2024 is consolidating the demand for low power wide area networks in roaming. Our customers want access to low power wide area network to deploy their IoT use cases. Mostly I would say due to its unique characteristics in terms of coverage extension and battery savings for the IoT devices. But on top of that, we see that due to the shutdown of 2G and 3G networks, low power wide area is becoming the best options for medium and long-term deployments of IoT. As an industry, we need to facilitate as much as possible access to all the low power wide area networks available in order to make sure that our clients can deploy all over the world, and higher usage will mean higher monetization of our networks.
So from a commercial side, what we see is that they need to act very quickly to market changes to make sure that they can address the need that new enterprises have, right? And they are different than the normal people. So I think looking at this enterprise is one. The other thing that we saw when we talk with more and more customers is that they also start looking at what are the different technologies that actually start hurting my business, like the OTT technologies, like an eSIM, right? So from a commercial side, I think those are the two things. And then from a technical side, they need to see how they can leverage this new technology. So still the change to VoLTE is important for us. And slowly we also see some uptake coming for 5G SA. So as to me, we are of course fully ready with 5G SA steering, and more operators are coming now to us to ask for those type of technologies.
The new opportunities for 5G and low latency roaming are really all around IoT, the Internet of Things. As the amount of information and data explode in all sorts of IoT devices, this is going to create new opportunities for roaming and also new opportunities to manage all of the transactions for that. So this is a great opportunity for us to really plan and really work for the opportunities that IoT will bring us.
Yeah, 5G and low latency, it's all about use case, right? Industry by industry. We're going to see, all the use cases are not yet available. We know, the 5G opens so many possibilities. The enterprise are considering that to include that into their processes, into their capabilities. Definitively, a new monetization model are going to come. We don't know what's going to be SLA based. We don't know what's going to be different, tiers of volume or things like that. I guess the approach is to collaborate and co-create what is best for the industry and for the enterprises.
I think that operators, particularly the RPX and GRX vendors, need to expand their direct peering. One of the biggest limitations that we have is really about how we can terminate the traffic. When you look at it from a roaming perspective, the limitations are what is the RPX, is peering points. So even if there are peering points that are very extensive in one region of the world, that doesn't help you if you have customers that are traveling to another. So I think that there's huge hype around local breakout, which is something that we're investing a lot in. Our limitation is working with operators that have extensive peering, so that even when we do drop our virtualized gateways, that we are actually able to terminate the traffic as close to the devices as possible.
I think one key element that we've been observing on our network is the growth of the data, right? The growth has been very important over the years. We still see roamers consuming more and more data, 20-25% year on year. So that's kind of promising, right? The user, while in roaming, they want to keep their habits. The consumption that they're having at home, they want to have it on the road. I think that shows the industry is going to be like solicited to provide and answer this demand. I think that's very exciting. I think the other aspect is all about 5G and all the capabilities that are brought by the 5G. We're investing a lot to be able to support that and ensure like we have a seamless experience, no matter is the region, no matter is the country, to really have this low latency promise. And I think that's very exciting to enable those new use cases around the 5G that are coming.
Everything, actually. The roaming industry is in constant evolution to stay ahead of the customer's demands. For instance, right now, we are actively working on making sure that we have 5G SA and BC in roaming. But as well, we see how new players are entering our industry, such as travel agent providers. But what I really like about our industry is that only by all of us working together, we can continue developing this service and products with such a global reach that are adding so much value to our customers, but as well to all the stakeholders of the roaming industry.
No, what excites me the most, I think, if you look back in roaming, how many years does it already exist? I think many decades, right? What we see there is that it's constantly changing and it's becoming more and more dynamic even, right? Where people will say, okay, nothing really changes because when you go abroad, it's the same thing. What we see is that now with the new enterprises, with private networks, with IoT and all of that, they all deserve their own service levels when going abroad. And I think for us as a vendor, but also from a roaming department and operator side, I think that's really exciting to look at those changes. And therefore, as an operator, you need to make sure that you can adapt very fast to those changes. Otherwise, maybe you will lose your business to your biggest competitors there. So I think that for us is the exciting part, the dynamic part of it.
I think the thing that excites me the most about the future of roaming has always been the basis for the telecom industry, in particular for mobile, to innovate. Roaming is not a product. Roaming is a standardized way in which mobile network operators are able to hand off traffic to each other, send and receive traffic in a way in which they can control each other's networks. So what we're seeing in our business is that this is a strong basis for innovation.